We're coming. It looks like we got 4 infantry that will fire after artillery. We'll fire the cannon first, perhaps, and then we'll. Here, can you step over a little further? We'll fire the cannon first, and then the infantry will fire their flintlocks. So, the 1700s were quite the time frame for development of artillery, especially in England. England had kind of let their artillery manufacturing lapse for a while, but they learned of a Dutch engineer named Jan Verbruggen, who seemed to know an awful lot about artillery at that time, and so they got him on board to revamp and renovate the manufacture of cannon. And so really England was the leader in cannon manufacture prior to and during the Revolutionary War. So Jan Verbruggen and some compatriots there in England, James Pattison was one. Pattison introduced a light 3-pounder gun that could be mounted on a land carriage and carried on soldiers' shoulders, and that is what this one depicts, is a Verbruggen 3-pounder. The 3-pound means that the solid shot, there's some on the table over there, the solid shot weighed 3 pounds. And so that gun, especially the 3-pounder, was really good for land operations in North America at the start and during the Revolutionary War, because it was light enough to take apart and for men to carry easily. So the barrel could be removed and from the carriage, and then the carriage could be carried, and the barrel could be carried separate by men, and then the wheels could be taken off, and men could carry the wheels. There are drawings depicting their operations. They could tie ropes on and pull them up cliffs and do all sorts of things with these light 3-pounders. And so these light guns were manufactured by Jan Verbruggen and his son Peter, using the first mass production methods for artillery manufacture. And American forces captured these guns wherever they could, whenever they could, because likewise they were good for the American forces, the Patriot forces, or the rebel forces from the English side, to be able to haul them around in North America in what became the United States. Mm-hmm. There was a real outstanding expedition between late 1775 and early 1776, led by Continental Army Colonel Henry Knox and his men, who moved 59 captured artillery pieces over 300 miles, where they had been captured at Fort Ticonderoga, an English fort, and they moved them to Boston. That was called the Noble Train of Artillery, and also the Knox Expedition. So that was a real feat to move 59 artillery pieces, a lot of them actually larger than the 3-pounder. There's a couple of discrepancies with this 3-pounder. All barrels of that time were bronze. That was the only thing that they could bore and work with at that time. So they should be a bronze barrel. Also, the carriages then had a split trail on them. So the trail goes down to the ground, and there were 2 pieces that went down to the ground instead of this Napoleonic style that became popular in the early 1800s. That's the main things I wanted to point out on the history of the Verbruggen 3-pounder, and we'll go ahead and fire it here, and that's somewhat of a process. We'll go through the steps, and you'll see the things that are used, and we'll go from there with it. Jeez.
cheating.
Yeah. Where's your foot? Get your tinder box out.
Sorry, yeah. Go get some stuff. I'll call out the commands and hopefully that will help indicate what the implements are and how it was done. Okay, man out the piece. Looks like we have search vent. So the vent is the hole at the breech end of the barrel. That's where the igniter is put in to ignite the black powder. He used the vent brick to search the vent, and now he's stopped it with a thumb stalk such that air can't move through the barrel. Advanced worm. Vent stop. Search piece. So he's searching, which at this point the barrel is empty, but once it's fired, there's probably residue in the barrel that needs to be pulled out with the worm. Let's skip the wet sponge for now. That's dry sponge. That's the sponge piece. Handle cartridge. So at this point, ideally we'd have another person. We're running with kind of a skeleton crew here of men, but ideally we'd have about 5 on the gun at least. I'm going to bring the powder up. The powder is enclosed in for us a foil package. In the day it would have been a cloth package, and they might have had the round associated in that as well. Charge piece. Advance ramp. Ramp. No.
That's it. Got a smack up in there.
So now the charge has gone down to the breech end of the barrel, and we're ready to make a hole in it to put a quick fuse in. So in the day, what they used was a quick fuse, or a quill. Actually, it was a quill, like a bird's quill that was filled with powder to ignite from the outside down into the charge. So this is a slow match, which a slow match is cotton rope saturated with saltpeter, potassium nitrate, and then dried. And so with this it burns slow. It's on a linstock, and then this can be used to ignite the quill, and that's ignite the main charge. Make ready. Make ready. Give fire. That works. So then after you fire, you just repeat the process. However, it's more important to search the vent, which you have done now. You search the vent. Go ahead. Search the vent. Make sure the vent's there, and then we pull out any material that's still in the barrel, especially if it's smoldering in there, potentially ignite, you can put another round in. You don't want to have it ignite in advance of when you want to fire. So,
coming over to see.
historically, only the wet springs to dampen any embers that might still be in there. Sponge trees.
I know you. Showing how to do it.
Over time, it's been adopted pretty often on most guns, or a lot of guns, to use a dry sponge as well. Advanced dry sponge. Sponge trees.
Every time they shoot it, the enemy could see. They'd have a bunch of people in the probably do like but also, when they're real sharp, they would have waited back. They would have moved. And that's what we said.
I'm thinking around 300 yards. Right now, I'm not thinking on this guy. I have a 12-pounder too, and I kind of mixed up.
Oh, you got 12 pounds.
I think the 12-pounder was able to
Real out there. Oh, yeah.
I don't think I'm going to.
Someday I'll have one.
charge fees. That's RAM. RAM. Frickin' prime. At this point, it could be aimed too. So let's say you fired and you weren't happy with where it landed. So then you could use the elevation screw under the barrel here to raise or lower the muzzle and change the elevation, which would change the distance that you would go.
No, I didn't.
There was a lot of studying, mathematical studies. I have a book that goes into a lot of detail on how they calculated what these guns would do. And of course, you can change the direction left or right as well.
Is your dog pedaling? Oh yeah. No. Fiona.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go again.
Did Ryan text you that?
No, I don't.
Get fired.
For him?
Are
you going deaf?
We'll turn it over to the infantry now. I think Dennis will speak on the infantry.
Yeah.
Welcome. So now that you've finished listening to these rebel scouts, I represent the 43rd Regiment of Foot, British Army, existing in the colonies. They call the British Army regular army, so the British are coming was probably a non-statement because they were all British, right? Until 250 years ago, 4th of July this year, we were all British, and then once they declared independence, then of course the war was on. Of course, fighting had been happening for the last couple of years. This year, not 250 years ago, there's all kinds of things going on. You can come over to our tent, we'd be happy to talk about it. But I represent the 43rd Regiment of Foot again, like I said. Okay, I represent the 43rd Regiment of Foot. I'm using a something called a Brown Bess with the British Arm. It's a 75 caliber solid shot smoothbore, if that makes any sense. Basically, the modern rifles, they had rifling so that the bullet would spin. These are just solid balls, 75 caliber, which is a big bullet, right? So there's it causes a lot of damage when it hits. This is an English-made gun, Brown Bess. It was made in England, but every colony had a militia. If you go back to the French and Indian Wars, every colony, Massachusetts, Virginia, they all had militias, and they were armed with these because they were fighting for the British against the French. Who was our ally during the American Revolution? Allies. France. Spanish were as well down in the southwest, the southeast. So everybody seemed to hate the British. I'm not sure what was going on. But I mean, technically, the British we were all British and we were all colonies. Of course, you can come and talk to us about the different things about taxation and all that. But basically, when the British Army landed, they were armed with these, and we're going to do some firing and some drill on it to show you what it's like. The one thing, who knows what this is called? Maybe young people.
We call it a rammer.
It's a rammer, yes. So, because it's a muzzle loader, you put the powder in, then you put the ball, and then you'd ram it, so it would be at the bottom of the. And you hear it ting. That's how you can tell that it's not loaded. If there was something in there, you'd hear it. So that's one way that we do safety checks to make sure nothing's been in there. But we're going to do a drill of the loading. Another thing I would talk to you about. Okay, so this is a black powder musket flintlock. Once you've loaded it, you prime it and then you load it. So you put a little bit of powder there. There's a hole right here. When you shut the pan, this flint, which is very sharp. I don't know if you ever fired some of these flintlocks, but they're very sharp on the end. That causes a spark. And I'll show you. It's not going to go off, so don't worry about it. But you can see the spark. So basically, it sets the powder, ignites the powder, shoots it into the barrel, and then out comes the ball. So there's a couple of things about this. If you're interested, you feel free to ask questions. But there's a half cock and there's a full cock. Full cock, you can fire. Half cock, it won't fire. That's a safety position. This is a modern attachment because when this fires in here, out shoots flame. We're trying not to cause damage to our partners when we're doing this. So this is not period. I'll acknowledge that, but it's meant to be safety issue. So let's see. You guys, any questions actually? Any questions? We're gonna show you a drill. Go figure, the British make it complicated. Have you heard of von Steuben? Baron von. Have you heard of that name?
Yeah.
So when the British, they're the most professional army at the time, biggest empire. So they were organized, and the Americans, we were mostly just colonists. You know, we were farmers, we were whatever that formed. They had a lot of these. They also had Charlevilles, which were French, because eventually the French arms started coming into the colonies to be used. In fact, Terry, you have a Charleville, right?
Charleville, yeah.
It looks similar but different.
Sure. I don't have a uniform. I'm a chandler.
Means
the
he
call
makes
to arms
cans.
means I come out of the chandling and go to work. Charleville, much prettier rifle. But give it to us
You
by
gotta
the
say it
French.
with an accent, don't you? Charleville.
No. I was never French. We're not French. We're Americans. The brown vests, the Americans had those as well, right? Because we fought with the British in the French and Indian War. Technically, we were British citizens up until we weren't, or we decided we weren't. But we didn't have good rifles except what we had to hunt with, for the most part. We brought it out of our cabin and joined the ranks when asked to. So we didn't have uniforms for the longest time, as a matter of fact. So again, yeah, sorry, I'm not wearing a uniform. I was just making candles a minute ago.
Which is very, very period correct. He was just doing a business and he came and joined the army. So
For the afternoon.
This is called a hammer stall. It's meant to prevent, if this hits that, it won't spark, and so it won't fire. That's another safety feature if you have that. It's just leather. And let's see. So, okay, I think we're going to do a drill. We're going to fire a couple rounds. And so it's not as loud as the cannon, but you'll hear it. So, any questions, by the way? Okay. Our sergeant is gonna, corporal. Our corporal is gonna. He got promoted. No, he got demoted. He's gonna get corporal. He's gonna give us the commands, and we're gonna portray it. We do have a couple of rebels, so they may not know the drill. So give them a little bit at least. Give them some drink.
Are those sunglasses, period?
No.
This period.
Show your balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right about. Please. Front end. Go. Make ready? Make ready? Present. Elevate. Fire! Right. Hand. Got your fella. Present. Fire.
A little problem with the
That's basically, there would have been more powder used. We're not using as much powder as it would have taken to launch the 75 caliber ball, but it would have worked if we'd have tried it.
Those guns work?
These are working replicas.
So if you put a bullet in there, you can shoot it?
You could buy, if you bought a ball, which there's a store here on the island that you can buy it up near Deception Pass, a gun range. But yeah, if you bought a 75 caliber ball, it would work. Strangely enough, the ones who make a replica these arms are Italian, really good ones. They make good ones. For some reason, Pedersoli is the name of this maker. They used to be, Colt used to make some, they don't anymore. And the British, they don't, I mean, if you get them, they're really, really expensive. And so, but these are working replicas. Many of us have taken it to the range and fired it. So it's interesting to do. Yeah.
How accurate are they?
I'm sorry?
How accurate are they?
They say you can shoot up to, not very, 100 yards. You could shoot up to 300 yards, the ball would go that far.
Yeah.
But that's,
Hit a barn door?
but it's not very accurate. Excuse me?
Hit a barn door?
Yes, correct. Yeah, they're not rifled, so the accuracy is pretty low. But the Napoleon...
About artillery, he speaks. I'm sorry, Dennis, you go ahead.
Okay, the lining up in a long line and firing downrange, that was intended to somewhat overcome the inaccuracy of balls. You know, you just throw a bunch of lead downrange, and it hit something eventually. The same with the cannon there. They're smooth bore and they're shooting out 3 points. If you hit that, you get hurt, but it's not very accurate. And so, yeah, I mean, basically, you could. The one thing about have you fired black powder before? Black powder is relatively dirty compared to modern powder, and so it leaves lots of residue. So every night we clean it and make sure that it doesn't foul. I mean, if you were in a real battle, you'd have to be cleaning it. I mean, if you're firing lots of rounds.
That's kind of how I got.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir.
See, these guns use wadding. Is that part of the process?
We wouldn't have used wadding necessarily on these. It's not like the modern black powder.
The Patriots.
Some of those weapons would have, like the Charleville, I think it
I'm curious what it
there were
looks
some
like.
other rifles.
Do you have any? I'm curious what it looks like.
Any wadding or the powder?
Wadding.
I don't have any here. Maybe one of the others does.
You know Kim Watts, boys? You know that phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go look at the jelly
Yeah,
boat?
so you could supposedly load 3 rounds a minute with this if you were good. 3 rounds, that seems like not a lot, but actually with all of the steps, that's pretty good. And while bullets are flying around your head.
Yeah, that's like sharpshooter.
Yes. But these smooth bores, you could load 3 rounds a minute. So like if you take out this, now I just fired it, it's probably going to cling a little bit, but you can tell there's debris. Well, no, it works pretty good. But if I keep firing it, you'll hear it. It's kind of a thump, a dull thump. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for coming. If you have any more questions, we'll be over at the tent. You can look us up. All right, thank you.
Thank you.